one of many issues that students in the physical schools face. So how do you think that this issue could be addressed by the DPSCD board? The final weeks of classes, some Detroit schools had to end their days early due to the hot weather and having no air conditioning.
Well, to my understanding, and I've been to, and I attend board meetings, new schools are being built. And I think that's a good thing. But what about those who are left? Okay, you can't leave them behind. And so you're putting all this money into new schools. That's good. But what about the schools over here? Then that money needs to be invested into rewiring, putting air in, working with the heating, because you can't leave the students and the school behind that does not have this modern day facility, all of these amenities. We've got to concentrate on all, and it's got to be equal across the board.
Let me background with the foundation. When DPSCD was created, it is funded by the state as opposed to a part of the base funding being a part of the residential taxes, but rather those residential taxes go to retire the debt of the former DPS. Having said that, that allocation did not include anything for infrastructure. So there were no dollars allocated for brick and mortar or for any investment for the future. Fortunately, one of the upsides of COVID-19 where the dollars were reinvested back into the community. So DPSCD has an opportunity to have dollars that can be encumbered for structural improvement of old buildings that can sustain improvement, and demolishing and building replacement buildings and other cases, so that their plan moving forward would include a little bit of both.
Well, working together as a board to find what other opportunities there are, again, in the budget or particular capital campaigns, what corporates out there would want to invest or adopt a school to help fix or renovate some of the buildings where there are HVAC issues and concerns. Also, where there are buildings that are still feasible and we can use those, reopening those to the standards of where students can learn, be warm and safe. And so I think it's important we got to find the money as a board, raising money, building relationships with folks who want to invest. I truly believe, and I'm one of those folks, people care about you. And I know sometimes it may not seem that way because sometimes folks can be quiet. But if we build as a board the right plan and strategy along with the youth and have parents and caregivers and administrators standing along beside us, corporates, I know they will dig deep and community will dig deep to make sure that you all have what you need in the schools. But we have to build it, and they don't have time to say, hey, here's your solution for you. So as a board, let us build the solution, go out there and market it and get people. In my day-to-day, I'm always out there, on behalf of entrepreneurs and people who want to be entrepreneurs, building ways that people can plug and play in our marketplace. And so that's the task for the board, to raise money. We only have so much in the budget, and there's certain priorities that are present, but there's still a need. And I truly believe that we can fill those needs with other relationships out here.
When we were on the school board, like I said, we went to several schools and we saw some of the conditions of the schools, the poor conditions of the school. Our buildings are old. Many of them are very, very old. There is no there is no air conditioning. Let's just say it just like that. It doesn't exist. So I think the best thing for us to do is two things. I'm not an architect, and I don't know very much about rehabbing school buildings, although I know people who do. I think it's important that we have the kind of facilities that would allow our students to be comfortable. So that means air conditioning and clean water. We have to have both, and facilities for our students. So we would need to look into what we need to do. Now, I know that the governor gave DPS a lot of money to help with our buildings. I'm just not sure how that is really being handled right now. I haven't seen anything that indicates what they're doing to our buildings to provide the air conditioning that's needed. Because see, when you get some of these very old buildings, you can't put some of the modern stuff that we need in them because the structures just won't handle it, or it could be the electrical work just won't handle it, the wiring that's in there now. And I don't know. We'd have to look at all that. But
Thank
with
you.
global, let me just say one more thing. With global warming, we already know it's not going to get any cooler. It's going to get hotter. So we're going to have to do something with the buildings.
Absolutely.
Right. So we did vote yes to improve building facilities, especially those that have overcrowding. One is Western International, and I say that because I know it's over in Southwest. Another is Cody High School. Cody will get a new building. Western will get a whole new building space attached to the school. From Cody, I think we go to it's another school, another high school. Oh, Pershing High School will have a new part to it. And Henry Ford will get major enhancements. So that's it for the high schools, but it could be more than that. But I'm just saying, there's some improvements that will happen at Northwestern. So we've already committed to that. Instead of taking the monies and sending it back to the federal government that we got for purchasing PP&E materials, you know, like the sanitizer, having someone to monitor giving shots and all of that kind of thing. We're taking those funds and rebuilding schools. And I'm proud of that. From elementary to middle to high school. Of course, we couldn't get them all, but the ones that have specific issues, we have an assistant superintendent, Mashawn Jackson. If you ever want to sit and talk to her, Mashawn has a blueprint or a plan for the kinds of things that we're going to be doing with all of the schools in the Detroit Public Schools Community School District. So if there are some specific schools that you have some specific concerns about, you can send them to the board, but you can also send them to Mashawn.Jackson@DetroitK12.org. I support her. And when she and Dr. Beatty make presentations about doing things to get better water, to get air conditioners, to get better systems, then I support all of that. We're an old school district, so we got old things happening there, but we gotta spend some money quickly on getting some things together so that we won't be super, super hot
Yeah.
next year and the rest of the year, I guess.
It's a great question, and it's a very current issue on the table. We just received quite a bit of money in terms of COVID dollars. So about $700 billion have now been allocated to improve all of the HVAC systems in our school buildings, as well as to some schools will be torn down to be built brand new from the ground, as well as modifying every school building to update every roof, water systems, plumbing systems. So over the next 5 years, DPSCD has allocated the money for improvement. You got to remember, a lot of our buildings are 50, 60, 70, 80 years old. And so some of those systems are not even modifiable. but we are creating ways in which vendors and contractors can add HVAC, can add air condition, can update our HVAC systems, our heating systems as well, because sometimes in the winter, our buildings are cold. And so it's not just AC, it's heat as well. So watch DPSCD over the next 5 years. You're going to see some real phenomenal improvements. New school buildings are coming up, and it is our desire that every school building will have adequate heat and air conditioning.